Good morning. This is Game Day Breakfast with the former Millwall and Chelsea striker Tony Cascarino. Natalie Sawyer. Don't forget, a little bit later on, former Southampton defender Francis Badani will join us as we look ahead to the Premier League lunchtime kick-off between Southampton and Manchester United. But also, just to let you know, talkSPORT brings you exclusive radio commentary of KSI versus Swarms live from the O2 Arena tonight. The YouTube superstar KSI will become boxing's first ever fighter to fight twice in one night, kicking off the bill with a headline bout with rapper Swarms before then later facing Luis Pineda.
From KSI, and now here we go. And he's loaded on Logan. He is the one pushing the pace in this fight. There we go. Logan's on the ground.
And we've been waiting for you, Swarms.
Down like that, oh
Yeah. I won that knockdown.
Oh, that's a big right from Gigi. Great hand from Gigi. Right left. Gigi is winning this round so far.
I can take shots, man. I can take a beating.
The winner by split decision from the United Kingdom, the Nightmare, KSI.
Be sure to tune in 7 p.m. talkSPORT 2 and then 9 p.m. talkSPORT to see me fight two people. Yes, Swarms Pineda versus KSI. Let's do it.
I don't know if he's brave or foolish, but it's going to be fascinating. Nonetheless, our expert team will be made up of presenters Adam Catterall, Gareth A. Davies, commentator Andy Clark, and the former bantamweight champion Spencer Oliver. As you heard from the man himself, KSI versus Swarms starts at 7 p.m. this Saturday, tonight even on talkSPORT 2, before we then switch over to talkSPORT from 9 o'clock, where you can hear him face Pineda. Listen on air via your smart speaker or download the talkSPORT app for free. There you go. Fascinating. One to listen out for later on. Let's take you back to the football. Premier League clubs have already spent a staggering £1.5 billion on transfers this summer, and the window is open until Thursday. Former Tottenham fullback Serge Aurier is set to become Nottingham Forest's 17th signing of the summer. The Ivory Coast international would join an impressive cast of newcomers at the City Ground that includes the likes of Jesse Lingard and Morgan Gibbs-White and Taiwo Awoniyi. It's about £150 million now that Forest have spent in transfer fees. We've talked about them already, and as I say, that when we mentioned them briefly at the top of the show, there will be Forest fans right now who might be screaming at the radio saying, come on, look at what happened in the summer and look what happened last season, the players we had on loan that have obviously gone back to their respective clubs and the players that we've lost who've been at the club for a while. So they needed to bring in more players. But there comes a point, doesn't there, when you have to start discussing how many players is too many?
Yeah. I mean,
inevitable.
Look, this is new territory for me. I mean, if you had said, your club has changed 8, 9 players, that sounds a lot now, and it is a lot. I can't think of a position on the pitch that Nottingham Forest haven't changed. From goalkeepers to fullbacks to midfielders to forwards. They've gone through the whole area of their team. And added, because they've lost, like you said, a number of players, which I get. But that is beyond anything I can imagine. 16 as it is, and probably we'll get to 17, he might get to 18 by the end of the week. And that is an extraordinary amount. When the owner spoke at the end of the season about full backing, this is way beyond full backing. This is a team and a half.
There's a part of me that thinks, well, look, there's something that's maybe working out right at Nottingham Forest because there are players who want to come. Yeah. So 16, 17 players are looking at the project of Steve Cooper and Nottingham Forest and are thinking, do you know what? I want to be a part of that. And I think we can make this club a success once again like it used to be.
Yeah, and they're paying over the top.
You think?
Of course they are on that. Why did Jesse Lingard go there? He had 2 or 3 offers and he's ended up going to Nottingham Forest because I'm sure that Forest would have pushed the boat further than other clubs. So it's an expensive process if it goes wrong. I mean, Steve Cooper has literally, if they get in any danger at all, he'll be gone. As well as he's done, he'll be gone from that football club. Just look at the owner's history with managers. It tells you that he will make a real quick change if he feels it's necessary. And if they have a difficult September, if they have, and they find themselves in the bottom three, it wouldn't surprise me if Steve Cooper was the first manager sacked. Really wouldn't. Even though they've started, reasonably well. I mean, they got a good result against West Ham, beat them. It's really Russian roulette at the highest level.
Well, it is, but like I mentioned, they lost pretty much half their squad that got them up last season through whether that's player leaving or loans expiring, for example. And maybe we need to give credit to Nottingham Forest and say, do you know what? There's a couple of questions within this and all of issues within this, is that maybe Forest have gone, look, the players that are still here that got us up aren't quite the quality we needed. Therefore, we needed the upgrade, and we have to upgrade now before it gets too late.
Yeah, I understand that now. I mean, but if they stay up and all their, a majority of their players work, they've got the best recruitment team ever. Because if you can get through 16, 17, or even maybe 18 players, and largely most of them were successful. Most clubs don't like to go, and I know there are established clubs in the Premier League, but they don't like to go for huge change, even with getting promoted. So, I think it would it would be groundbreaking. If Forest do this amount of transfers and it proves to be really successful and they have a good year, fair play to them, because I've never seen so much change in the playing staff at a football club.
It's not the first time we've seen clubs spend big.
Well, Fulham went for it, but they done what, 10 maybe 11?
Yeah. I'm talking
6.
financially in terms of spending big. So I think Fulham spent 150, Villa likewise 145, something like that. And as we know, the
doesn't
fortunes
sound a lot now, though, does it? 150.
No, it's
seems like
just one player. But you look at the fortunes of both clubs. It doesn't guarantee you anything spending that amount of money. We know what happened with Fulham and Aston Villa. Yes, they've survived, but they did go through a relegation fight in that season as well. I wanted to ask you, if you were a player who had been part of that Forest side that got you up and you're still there, how do you feel about that situation when more and more players keep coming in? Like you say, they seem to be doubling up at least on
every position. Well, I'll tell you, ask that question to the Fulham players who got them promoted and then got ditched when they had a whole load of new players come in that they believed weren't as good as the ones that got them up. Now, it's early days at Forest, and how well these new players do is very vital to how the atmosphere will be in the dressing room. Because if they underperform and start losing games, and the manager doesn't revert to some of the players that brought Forest up, I know a number have gone, but still has some sort of players given an opportunity. So it's a really tricky one now. I like I said, I've been in the game 40 years. I've never seen anything close to these numbers before of transfers, and I go back to some of the early things that managers have said to me about if you make 5 signings and 4 of them work, you'll finish here in the league. If you make 5 and they all work, you could finish right at the top end. If you get 1 right, you'll probably get relegated. So they've got 17 transfers. They're going to need at least 8 to 10 of them working really well, which is a massive ask.
Tom in Derby has texted in. Thanks, Tom, for your text. You say, if Forest hadn't signed that many players, you'd be moaning that they weren't strong enough to stay up. Can we not just praise an owner for once?
Well, look, I'm saying this because I've never seen this amount of numbers. I'm not saying they haven't been ambitious, because they have. They've been extraordinarily ambitious to try and get the best squad they can. I get that. I just can't relate to 16, 17, 18 players, whatever they get to, as being successful is so hard to do. So fair play. If this all works out, I'll eat a humble pie. But I get this feeling that it's just way too many.
And is there then a fear that if you have spent as much as they have spent and it doesn't work out, and unfortunately they find themselves back in the Championship?
Oh, there'll be lifeboats. There'll be lifeboats everywhere for a lot of people at that football club, because that owner will, as aggressive as he's been in getting players into the football club, he'll be as aggressive getting people out.
Just quickly, Forest only had 5 players at the start of the season. So this text says there was a number of younger players that could have been given an opportunity as well. They had more than 5. Well, as this text goes on to say, I'm pleased how we have started with so many new lads. People are coming to play for Cooper, which was what I was alluding to earlier on. Maybe it's the project of Steve Cooper and Nottingham Forest that a lot of these players clearly are buying into, because they want to be part of it and want to maybe bring back that success that Forest once had in those Brian Clough days.